welcome to the course Augmenting Design Thinking with Human Computer Interaction. So, in the previous lectures, we have seen the stages of design thinking, the discover and develop phase, and today we will be studying the deliver phase. So, the deliver phase is basically the solutions that we develop during the prototype stage. So, these are rigorously tested to get an understanding of the product and this interaction with the users. So, this phase makes sure that the design is effectively addressing all the concerns, the initial problem brief that we had created, whether it is aligning with that. Of course, this stage is also human centered, and we are constantly involving the users in the testing and the feedback process so that their feedback can be incorporated to further improve the product if required. Then the testing of low fidelity prototype. So these are tested extensively in this particular phase, and this allows the designers to rapidly iterate and adjust wherever there is a need as per the user feedback and their requirement, and also to ensure this particular phase ensures that the product is efficient, it's usable, and it is also understood by the user and also enhances their output. So now the effectiveness, usability, and the output, or we can also call it the desirability of the product, as we have seen in the previous lecture as well. So that needs to be checked. So in order to ensure that, so we have to see that how well the product solves the problem. So that is how we will ensure that the effectiveness of the product is maintained. Then how intuitive the product is for the users. So that will tell us about the usability of the product. And desirability, of course, will gauge the emotional response and satisfaction of the users. And that will tell us whether all three parameters are fulfilled by the product that we have designed. So now how do we do these testings? So how do we test this product on all these scales that we have discussed? So the first is to create an experience. So giving them an immersive experience, involving them in the design interactions and engaging them so that, and to check whether it is the experience of using the product is a memorable one or not. So if you take the example, say, that we have been discussing in the past few classes of the water transportation issue that we have been discussing. So in this case, for example, if we are bringing the users, the end users, wherein we are having maybe say a workshop and they are testing and tasting the water, which is filtered as compared to the unfiltered water, so that gives them an experience, a real time experience of what healthy and clean, safe drinking water tastes like. So that will act as a motivation as well. And like we had discussed earlier, that education regarding the hygiene and other aspects is also equally important. So this will also help in that. So these experiences sort of strengthen the output that the designers are envisioning. So that is one way. The other is comparison. So when we have several different solutions, so they help us in identifying the most effective solution. So for the same water problem, one could be transportation of the water, or we could also have a filtration device that may also come up as a design solution. So in that particular case, then comparing both the logistics, the pros and cons of both the systems, and then we will probably say that one is better than the other. So when there are multiple options to choose from, so they help us optimize and come up with the best possible solution. And then of course, observation, that how the users are interacting with the product. So that always provides us with valuable insights into the product that we are offering and whether it is usable and whether it is effective. So that gives us an idea coming from the observation. So now again, going back to the same water problem that we are looking at. So watching the residents collect water, store water, like we've already seen in the previous class. So that helps us cover all the stages from the observation stage or empathy stage to the developing stage, and also the final stage, that is deliver stage. So if there are further any more hiccups or any more issues, then they can be taken care in this particular stage of the design process. Now, when we are observing these residents or our particular solution while it is in motion, so there are certain questions that can be answered, and these questions will help us evaluate the effectiveness of the final product. So, for example, what does the user do with the product? So, now here, depending on the product that is solving a problem, so we will be observing that how is the user using it? Is he using it in the way it is expected to be used, it is designed to be used, or is the user using it in any different manner? So that will tell us whether the product is intuitive to use, whether it is visually communicating to the user that how it needs to be used, or is it ambiguous design, and whether some improvement is required in order for the user to use it. Now, depending again on many factors like their background, the socioeconomic, background, the culture, the education level. So, a lot of those factors need to be considered. Then, what are the users' perceptions of the product? So, are they facing any problem using it? We have earlier seen that how they find a way around using the product, so that we call a jugaad. So, are they using some other way of using the product and not using it in the conventional manner? How does the product meet or fail the expectations of the user needs? So, on the scale, where is it exactly meeting with the expectations, or is it miserably failing? So, this also we'll understand from observing the interaction between the user and the product. How successful or unsuccessful does the user think the product is? So, of course, the end user will be able to tell us whether it is solving the initial problem that we had discovered. So, what do they think, that how successful is this product in addressing the challenges that we had begun in the first place to tackle? How safe is the product? So, of course, the product safety is always one of the core issues to be taken care of. So, if we take the example of a digital product, say a simple email that we are writing, and now if there is, for example, we have to attach an attachment in the email, but we forget to actually attach it. So, will the email remind us that the attachment is missing, that you still have to, attach? So, is it intuitive that when we are writing in the subject or in the content of the mail, that attachment enclosed? So, whether it is able to identify that no attachment has been enclosed. So, how safe is the product? Also, it goes for physical products as well. How satisfied was the user at the end of the experience and their emotions? So, of course, desirability depends on the feelings, also the emotions also. So, now if we are able to see that they are satisfied, so their happy faces will communicate whether the product was successful, and they're satisfied, so this of course makes it a desirable product. Or if they are speaking, communicating the feeling, as well as their body language also communicating that they are dissatisfied, so that means there is some lack of or scope of improvement still there. So now the implementation phase is where the finalized design is transformed into a fully functional product or service. So, here this is when, after the previous stage of our delivery, we have come up with the final product, and now it is the implementation phase. So, in the clean water delivery system, if we again go back to the example, so here it will translate into the whole production and setup phase, where the implementation logistics will be required to be taken care of, and then the pilot testing will be required before the full on implementation, and that probably means that going to certain very inaccessible areas to see whether the truck, the container can actually reach those narrow lanes, and if not, then what are the other solutions to access some difficult areas, for example. Now, the full scale launch happens once the pilot testing is successful, and then of course training and support is required because there are many other aspects involved. There are people who will be delivering this water, and they will be at the village level or the community level, they will be the leaders and other stakeholders, the healthcare workers. So training and support will be required, and of course feedback and continuous improvement is required, because like we saw in the image in the previous lecture, that although there is a solution which was thought of to cater to the needs of people by supplying them with water, delivery truck, but still there was this issue of maybe first come first serve basis, or no organized way of delivering the water. So now there is still a scope for improvement there. So this will also tell us that this feedback will guide that how there is improvement is required, and so that this whole loop is helping us further improve the design. So there are several working models of design thinking. So now each model adapts the core principle of design thinking, and their unique context is there depending on whether it is an academic based model or whether it is a corporate based model. So these are from Institute of Design at Stanford, IDEO. So we'll see these examples here. So now we can see that the one at D School at Stanford. So here we can see that it starts with empathy, define, ideate, prototype, test, and assess. So these are the steps they are following. Similarly, in the design thinking by IDEO, again they are discovering, implementation, ideation, experimentation, evolution. So you can see that, and even in the next one here, the design thinking by Design for America, student social innovation, that ideation is where we start coming up with ideas, and you can see that it is towards the middle or towards the other end of the process. So a lot of homework is done beforehand. So we can see in all of these design thinking processes, ideation is coming up later. So before we sit down with our board, with our pencil, so a lot more work needs to be done, which we have already seen in the previous classes, where we started with the discover phase or the empathy phase, and how we progress to a stage where with all the information that we have gathered, now we are going ahead with the ideation stage, and then further into building it and then testing it before it is implemented. So now some similarities between these models. We also have the double diamond method by Design Council UK, and we also have the Google Design Sprints and by AIGA, which is American Institution of Graphics Art, and Austin Center for Design. So there are many different schools of, which have their own these steps, but let's see the similarities. So now they are similar in the nature that they prioritize understanding the needs of the users. So you will see in each of these programs, in each of these models here, so they all begin with understanding the core need before we can actually start coming up with some solutions. And empathy is the core element here, that the user needs to be empathized with. We need to put ourselves in the shoes of the user, and with various techniques that we have discussed, like user interviews, observations, and others. So these are all common approaches all across these methods. So these methods also emphasize the iterative processes, where ideas are continuously refined through cycles of prototyping and feedback. And collaboration, of course, is very important, because the design team is a mix of many different people with different backgrounds. So the importance of creativity and open-mindedness becomes very important, and also in generating solutions that will be useful to a larger number of users. Now, there are also certain differences that we will see in these different methods. So now this D-School approach is rooted in the academia, and so it emphasizes the educational programs and research. So this is more oriented towards the academia. The IDEO is a global design and consulting firm, and they apply design thinking in a practical client driven context, and they often focus on the real world business and social challenges. So that is where their strength lies. The Design for America, this is a student led social innovation, and this combines educational elements with a strong emphasis on the community impact and the social change. So you will see once you go through their projects that how most of the projects are for or inclined towards social change. Then the design thinking, a double diamond approach by Design Council UK. So it provides a clear structured framework that how the two diamonds are diverging and then converging and so on. So they have distinct phases. So again, a very structured design to help the design team check their progress. Similarly, the Google design sprints are also very highly structured, and they are time constrained at the same time, and they are aimed at rapidly solving the specific problem, and they limit themselves since they're time constrained. So they keep a cap, like say a week's time to solve a problem. The Austin Center for Design, they focus on integrating design thinking with social entrepreneurship and public sector innovation. And lastly, the head, heart, and hand approach by AIGA. So they emphasize on the holistic integration of intellectual, emotional, and practical aspects of design, and they cater specifically to graphic design and visual communication. So the applications, as we can see, the applications can differ because the academic approach, the industry approach, they all are quite different. Even the social approach, they are different because they are catering to specific segments and catering to certain specific needs. So in the sense that the approach is quite similar, but again, depending on the type of project they are tackling or undertaking, so the output may vary accordingly. So all these different models of design thinking, so they are very useful in generating the solution, and they also help as a guide to ensure that we are following the right path and we are not taking any shortcut. And these are all very iterative processes, and at the same time they're also non-linear processes, so one can always come back to the previous step and take forward from there. So that makes these models very flexible as well to work with, to come up with the appropriate solutions which are effective, usable, and also desirable by the end user. So with this, we come to the end of today's class, and I'll see you all in the next session. Thank you.